UFC Vegas 45 weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Really looking forward to going over the final card of the year once again after seeing the fighters on the scales. We'll look through how the fighters looked. We did have some weight misses on the card. Fortunately, no cancellations. Super excited for this card. Derrick Lewis, Chris Daukaus in the main event. Great heavyweight fight. Smash that like button, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn those post notifications on. And let's get into this card. The first fight of the night. Jourdain, the Monkey King Leavitt, fights against Matt Sayles. Earlier in the week, the pick is Leavitt. Stylistically, I think this is a great matchup for him. You see Sayles on the scale there. He came in looking pretty solid. There's no complaints for me on either side. Both guys look good and ready to go. The Monkey King with the fist out. He's got a unique personality. That's something I really like about Jourdain. There's the face-off. Really nothing crazy about the guys on the scales. I think in this matchup, Jourdain Leavitt should be able to get this fight to the floor and put together his grappling style game. He's very dangerous when fights are on the ground. Sayles has a legit chance to hurt him on the feet. Decent kicks, powerful punches. He's a quality striker. Jourdain Leavitt less skilled in the striking department, but very good wrestling. Great top control, heavy pressure, good submission game. I could see Leavitt getting a sub on Matt Sayles. Could also see us going 3 rounds in this fight. I'm going to go Jourdain Leavitt for the win. Looking at the odds for this fight, Matt Sayles, the underdog, plus 113. Leavitt, minus 105. I see Leavitt going out there and performing. Maybe don't love the props too much here. Maybe you could go Leavitt wins by a decision. You can find that upwards of plus 535. Leavitt by submission is actually at plus 185 best value. So bet-wise, better to go decision, but really looking at it, I could see him submitting Sayles and Sayles on the opposite side. The dog does have the knockout shot. You can find it upwards of plus 405. If Sayles lands the clean punch, he can definitely put Leavitt down, but I think he's going to have hell to deal with the grappling game. It's going to be consistent and constant pressure, chain wrestling. I see Jourdain Leavitt going out there and getting it done, winning this fight, and earning himself his first victory inside of the UFC. He's a fun prospect. Guys with grappling bases like this, and so young, 26. Now, on the opposite side, we have to note, Matt Sayles is not coming here to lose. He's a young fighter as well who's going to be constantly improving. Not an easy fight. Lines being close, but I do like Jourdain Leavitt to get the win. I think his style matches up well against Matt Sayles. Fun first fight of the night. Let's keep on running up the card. Next one, Don'Tale Mayes and Josh Parisian. Earlier in the week, the pick was Don'Tale Mayes. Looking at the guys on the scales, there's Parisian, thick boy. There is Don'Tale Mayes, definitely more muscle on the frame. He's taller than Josh Parisian and a bit longer, 6'6" versus 6'4", 81-inch reach versus 79. I like Mayes' stand-up game. He has some decent movement, bit of heavy hands. Parisian, more the unpredictable style attack. Had that big knockout on Dana White's Contender Series with the spinning back fist. He does have a tricky striking game, more of a looping style puncher, and is competent on the floor. Outweighed Don'Tale Mayes by just a smidge, about 5 pounds, not a ton. Definitely more muscle on the side of Mayes. I see Mayes being able to defend any potential grappling attacks by Parisian. I see Mayes having more knockout power. I could see him putting Parisian down and getting a stoppage. Could also see us looking at 3 rounds of Mayes winning a unanimous decision. I like Don'Tale Mayes for the win. Looking at the lines, he's sitting at best value minus 185. Parisian plus 170. I feel like with heavyweights, you don't want to go too crazy with the over-unders. Over 1.5, minus 200, minus 188 best value. If you can find that, is maybe an okay play. There's potential for Mayes by KO TKO. The plus 200 value is okay, but I don't love it as he's fighting a guy with Parisian known for being fairly durable. We'll go Don'Tale Mayes for the win. He's a decent favorite here. Best value around minus 185. And we're on Don'Tale over Parisian still, even after seeing them on the scales. Next fight, Raquel Pennington and Macy Chiasson. Pennington makes her featherweight debut, and she fights a girl who misses weight. Size edge is already in the favor of Chiasson, and now she comes in over weight. This is a hard matchup for Raquel. I think she's going to have a really tough time controlling Chiasson. We have to note that earlier in the week, I did pick Chiasson. Looking at the fighters on the scales, there is Chiasson. There is Raquel Pennington. There is the face-off. You see the obvious height edge. Pennington actually doesn't look bad going up to 145. I feel like Chiasson's size is the difference maker. She is the underdog. I like the underdog, Macy Chiasson, to win. I am going to go unanimous decision, plus 156, plus 155 range, depending where you go for Chiasson. The line was actually wider originally, and you can find her upwards of that plus 170 range. Raquel Pennington, minus 160-ish favorite. I like Chiasson for the W by a unanimous decision. I do expect her to be able to fend off Raquel's heavy pressure and strong clinch attacks, especially with the height edge. Chiasson decision is plus 250. Fight goes the distance, minus 240. I do expect these girls to go all 3 rounds here in the women's featherweight division, and I'm very interested to see Raquel Pennington up a weight class at 145. Fun matchup here between these two. We got Chiasson. The next fight of the night, Charles Jourdain versus Andre Ewell. Earlier in the week, the pick is Charles Jourdain. Looking at them on the scales, there is Ewell, who's moving up from 135 pounds. He was just knocked out at 135 against Julio Arce. There's Charles Jourdain. There is the face-off. Jourdain has slight edge in the height, but the reach strongly favors Ewell. 75 inches to 69. That is a clear 6-inch reach difference. But Andre Ewell is not a heavy puncher. He doesn't have that blinding stiff jab, more of a pawing jab. I don't see him with the power to keep Jourdain off of him. I see Jourdain also being the physically stronger guy. Definitely has a chance to knock Andre Ewell out. I like Charles Jourdain for the win here. Picked him earlier in the week. We are still on him after seeing them on the scales. I will lean towards Jourdain decision, but I'm also thinking maybe knockout. Ewell is how old now? Nearly 34 years of age. He was knocked out in the last fight. Jourdain known for hurting his opponents, even in loss, especially that Juliana Rosa fight. I like Jourdain potentially getting the KO. Jourdain money line bet minus 190. You can find a Ewell around plus 175. I'm not feeling the dog here. I like Charles Jourdain. I feel like Jourdain KO TKO plus 195 is maybe a sprinkle prop, but don't really throw everything at it. I much prefer the money line play on Charles Jourdain, as I do expect him to beat Andre Ewell and continue his momentum. I mean, he's 26. There's so much potential with Charles Jourdain here, and I'm very excited to see him fight Andre Ewell in this matchup. Let's keep on running up the card. Next one, Sijara Eubanks and Melissa Gatto. We have to talk about this. Eubanks coming in over the 126-pound limit, 127.5. Unfortunate weight miss. She's had troubles with the scale in the past. I feel like she's physically the stronger girl. I see her going out there and beating Gatto. That is the pick earlier in the week. We'll look at them on the scales. There is Gatto, who looks in very good shape. Sijara Eubanks looks good as well. Unfortunate weight miss. There is the intense face-off between the ladies. I like Sijara Eubanks' potential to control this fight, potentially grinding out a unanimous decision. I see her as a stronger girl. Her striking game is not bad either. Sijara Eubanks for the win. The line is not bad. Seeing her miss weight could be an advantageous factor here. Minus 160, plus 175. I like Eubanks. Could she get the finish? It is possible, but likelihood would be lower. Sijara Eubanks win by inside the distance, I guess, let's say, would be sitting upwards of plus 315, which isn't terrible. Eubanks wins by a decision, which I do think is fairly likely, about plus 155 best value. I feel like Eubanks money line would be more so the play I'd want to touch here. I like Sijara for the W. Let's keep on running up. Next fight on these prelims, we have legendary moment. This is record-breaking. The first ever heavyweight to come in over the 266-pound limit. Congrats to Justin Tafa. He's 267 pounds. He takes on Harry Hunsucker, who comes in at 238.5. A serious edge in the weight for Justin Tafa. Hunsucker has been knocked out. He's going to be looking for the KO. His style is kill or be killed. Earlier in the week, the pick is Tafa. Looking at them on the scales, there is Hunsucker. There is Tafa. I think there is a serious mismark in the height here because listed at 6'2" is Hunsucker and 6 feet for Justin Tafa. He looks a clear 2 to 3 inches taller. Maybe it's just the angle. Maybe he has heels in his shoes or some type of platform, but he seems to be the bigger man. I expect Justin Tafa for a KO TKO in the first or second round. The odds are very hard to play. You're looking at minus 295 Tafa, plus 280 for Harry Hunsucker. Maybe you want to touch the KO prop. I think that could have some potential value. Tafa to win by KO TKO. Not much goodness either. Best value minus 175. Hunsucker on the opposite side. If he did touch the chin, he's upwards of plus 550. Maybe you want to sprinkle Hunsucker as a dog, but I think he gets knocked out by Tafa here. I don't see this fight going long. I think we're probably under 1.5 rounds, and the best value for that would be minus 175, but I don't necessarily love the play. First clean punch that lands 100% can be the fight ender in this one, and I am on Justin Tafa for the knockout. Let's keep on running up the card. Hani Barcelos versus Victor Henry. We have a good bantamweight matchup. Barcelos goes from fighting Valiev on the run towards contendership to now fighting a guy making his UFC debut. 21-5 Victor Henry. We can't sleep on Henry. He does have a nasty striking game. Barcelos has more ways to win it, though. I picked him earlier in the week, and we're going to look at them on the scales, but we have to note, Barcelos is known for dangerous striking skills and knockout power, also very strong and good grappling base. Looking at the fighters on the scales here doesn't necessarily change my mind. I would say they look pretty similar on the scales. I have to ride with the higher level experience, the momentum, even though unfortunate loss to Valiev in the last one, it was probably incorrectly scored and could have been given a draw. Hani Barcelos for the win. Henry taking it on short notice. Barcelos potentially inside the distance, win by submission. But Henry, not a guy that gets finished. I believe he's never been finished as a professional, which is a valuable note. I could see Barcelos also winning the unanimous decision. The lines on this one, not necessarily a one to go play. Minus 330, best value Barcelos. For Victor Henry, you got a plus 305 underdog. Maybe you want to touch over 1.5, minus 165, but Barcelos does have knockout power, and it's proven. Do we go? Barcelos wins inside the distance, plus 115 best value. Barcelos KO TKO, plus 200. Barcelos submission, plus 455. Maybe that plus 455 is the tag, because that's very widespread, and it's a possibility here against Victor Henry. I like Barcelos for the win. Very confident in him, but unfortunately, no value in the money line bet unless you're really going to risk a lot to just make a little bit back here. Barcelos, the veteran, for the W. The next fight, and also the featured prelim, it's a fun one. Gerald Meerschaert and Dustin Stoltzfus. This for Stoltzfus is him really fighting for his job here. They give him a matchup against Meerschaert, who's on a roll, 2-fight winning streak, coming off a huge win as he beat Mukhmad Muradov, who was an on-the-rise potential contender heading into 2022. Meerschaert sends him way back. Great turnaround for the career for Meerschaert after a devastating loss to Khamzat Chimaev and Ian Heinisch prior to that. Earlier in the week, the pick is Meerschaert. We'll look at them on the scales. There is Meerschaert looking good and ready to go. There is Stoltzfus. He does not look bad either. And there is the face-off. The level difference will be the grappling. The threat is valid here. Stoltzfus is an okay striker. He does have a good kickboxing game. Adolfo Vieira landed some nice punches in that last fight because of the grappling threat, and Meerschaert brings that same grappling threat. Obviously, a different style of grappling. Vieira, the championship jiu-jitsu guy, more so in the pure jiu-jitsu. MMA submission-wise, Gerald Meerschaert is incredible. 25 wins by submission throughout his mixed martial arts career. That is insane. I got Meerschaert winning by submission here over Dustin Stoltzfus, and I like it in the second round, and I think it's potentially a rear naked choke. Looking at the lines, Meerschaert minus 225, Stoltzfus plus 205. Meerschaert wins by a submission. The value of that prop sitting at plus 180 for best value, which is not bad, and I think this is a likely outcome for this very fun featured prelim of the night between these two middleweights. Unfortunately, I like Stoltzfus. This is really unfortunate that they're putting him in this situation now to get a loss and potentially be released by the UFC. And I don't think he's a half bad fighter, and I think he's got some okay potential. but that is the fight game. Gerald Meerschaert for the victory. Let's get to the main card. And if you guys have not yet smashed that like button, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, keep it locked in here at MMA Experts. We got the fight companion for this card coming, so make sure you guys tune into that. I honestly can't wait for it. It's always a blast. I'm glad I brought them back, so be there tomorrow for that fight companion. First fight on the main card, Darren Elkins versus Cub Swanson. A valuable potential underdog in Darren Elkins. Earlier in the week, the pick is Cub Swanson. We look towards the scales. There is Darren Elkins. The damage is ready. There's no quit in Elkins. There is Cub Swanson. A little bit of a height edge in favor of Elkins. Elkins is a junkyard dog style fighter. Zero quit. Aggressive, comes forward, pressure wrestling. Cub Swanson is the skilled fighter. More so skilled fighter. It's not that Elkins isn't skilled. Technical advantages, I feel, everywhere, maybe outside of the wrestling department for Swanson, but defensively, he should be sound enough to fend off Elkins' attack. Cub Swanson needs to fight with the game plan of, I'm going to beat this guy, but it's not necessarily going to look beautiful. Elkins has made his name off coming back from adversity and winning fights. I feel like Cub Swanson knows this. He's a high intellect fighter. I believe he has a very good fight IQ. I expect him to win this fight by a unanimous decision, beating Darren Elkins. Good movement, using the boxing, fending off the grappling attacks, and getting a unanimous decision win over an absolute savage, Darren the Damage Elkins, who's always a fun customer to watch. Looking at the lines, Swanson minus 180, Elkins plus 172. I do wish the odds were a bit closer because I do like the Swanson bet potentially, but it's not an easy matchup. Swanson wins by a unanimous decision. We'll be sitting at about plus 150, plus 160 best value. If you want Elkins, potentially the underdog win, inside the distance, plus 410. Elkins straight dog play, plus 172 is not a bad one either. Very fun matchup. I cannot wait to see these two go at it. And I have Cub Swanson for the win, sending back the damage here. And Cub Swanson will continue. Battle of true OG vets. Tons of fights between these two. And really great matchmaking. Next fight is Diego Ferreira versus Mateusz Gamrot. Earlier in the week, the pick is Gamrot. I am high on him as a prospect. Looking at the fighters on the scales, there is Mateusz Gamrot. He looks intense and ready to go. There is Diego Ferreira, who looks in great shape as well. There is an intense face-off between the two, and Sean Shelby getting those two a bit separated. Diego Ferreira's not here to lose. He's coming off a 2-fight losing streak. On the opposite side, Gamrot on a 2-fight win streak. But let's be honest, he probably should have beat Garam Kudalidze, so he realistically could be a 20-0 professional taking on Diego Ferreira here. Can Ferreira be the first man to truly beat this guy? I don't see Ferreira doing it. I think Gamrot's wrestling is a factor. His movement, his punches on the feet are also very good factors. Ferreira, not the crispiest of boxers, has more looping style boxing with a bit of power, excellent Brazilian jiu-jitsu. The wrestling and the striking edge technically for me favor Gamrot. Movement favors Gamrot. If he gets caught in something stupid, there's always an opportunity for a guy with as high level jiu-jitsu as Ferreira brings to win by submission. I don't see it happening. Mateusz Gamrot for the win. I'm thinking potentially by knockout. I think this is the one that skyrockets his stock. I think he knocks out Diego Ferreira here. Looking at the lines for this one, Gamrot minus 180, Ferreira plus 175. I like Mateusz Gamrot for the win. Prefer the money line play, but if you want to get crazy, maybe you go towards Gamrot wins by KO TKO at plus 300. But I could also see Gamrot winning by a unanimous decision, plus 175. I am on Gamrot for the win. It's an okay money line bet. Value's not amazing, but if you can find it below minus 200, I think that might be worth a stab here. And we play Mateusz Gamrot over Carlos Diego Ferreira. Good fight, and I really am high on Gamrot. Super excited to see what he brings. Next fight of the night, Raphael Assunção and Ricky Simón. The OG Assunção 3-fight losing streak. He needs this win. He's nearly 40 years of age. On the opposite side, he takes on the 29-year-old who is on a roll, Ricky Simón. Let's look at them on the scales. Here is Ricky Simón, looking shredded, ready to go. Veteran, OG Assunção still looking good at nearly 40. There is the face-off. You have to go youth. You have to go the chain wrestling attack. You have to go Ricky Simón. But the odds are atrocious. They're really sleeping on Assunção. I have Ricky Simón for the win. It's not an easy fight. I expect him to use a grinding style wrestling game, chain wrestling attack. Be cautious of Assunção's submissions. Assunção isn't a bad striker either. Could land something big, but I think Simón's momentum strongly in his favor gets the win. Minus 265. Plus 245, but I don't like the money line bet here on Ricky Simón. If I'm going to lean you anywhere, maybe fight goes the distance, minus 160. I really see these guys going all 3 rounds. Should be a very fun scrap between these two. If maybe you wanted to play Simón wins by a decision, it's a potential play. Plus 115, I don't love it, but I do believe fight goes the distance here, and I don't mind that minus 160 play. Let's keep on running, and the featured bout of the night. Angela Overhill Kill versus Amanda Lemos. I'm intrigued by this fight. Earlier in the week, the pick is Amanda Lemos. She's a very intriguing prospect, certainly. There is Angela, looking good, muscular, ready to go. There is Amanda Lemos, and there is the face-off. The scales don't change much for me. Lemos looks very intense. Physically, she's extremely strong. She does have knockout power. I think Angela Hill's there to be hit. That Thai style. She does eat punches, but extremely durable. Not an easy girl to put away. I like Lemos for the win. The method is a little tricky. I could see her getting a potential shocking knockout. Maybe it goes to the floor and she locks up a sub. Or also, she wins a unanimous decision. But the lines are too widespread, in my opinion. Lemos, the minus 280 favorite at best value, plus 305 for Angela Hill. That's a tricky one for me to want to go throw money at. Maybe you just sprinkle prop something crazy. Plus 1,000 best value. Lemos wins by submission. Maybe you just sprinkle prop something like that and go for it. Lemos probably does get the W. I could see it by decision, plus 115. Maybe a KO, plus 400. Best value would be sprinkling the Lemos sub. If you're on the Hill side as a dog, you have a great money line play, but I personally don't see it. I think Lemos goes out there and defeats Angela Overkill Kill. Angela Overkill Hill. We're flipping the nickname there. It's a good flow, though. I got to say, I do like Angela a lot. Co-main event. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Belal Muhammad. Belal's coming ready. Coming off of, that victory over Damian Maia, which jumped his stock a bit. Had an unfortunate no contest with Leon Rocky Edwards. He now fights Wonderboy. Wonderboy lost to a primarily grappler in Gilbert Burns, though Burns does have a dangerous striking game. He brings more power to the table than Belal Muhammad does. Earlier in the week, the pick is Wonderboy. We'll look at them on the scales. Belal looks shredded. Wonderboy looks normal. He looks ready to go. There is the face-off. Striking edge is Wonderboy. If he controls range and is able to move, make this a stand-up fight, he wins, probably by a unanimous decision. If Belal can get in close, potentially make it hard, look for some takedowns, get some takedowns, maybe he goes out there and pulls off a crazy upset, but I don't see it personally. I am on Wonderboy Thompson win, thinking unanimous decision over Belal Muhammad. Expect great range management, the karate-style striking to lead the way. Lots of movement from Wonderboy. I see him beating Belal here. The odds for Wonderboy, minus 200 best value, plus 198, nearly plus 200 for Belal Muhammad. I feel like we're looking at a fight goes the distance, minus 225. I don't really love the bet on this fight. Maybe you go Wonderboy, but he is getting older. Wonderboy wins by a decision, plus 100. Wonderboy won by KO TKO would bring you plus 360. But you look at Wonderboy's recent results, decision, and that's fighters who are just primarily striking him. Maybe because Belal is going to bring a wrestling attack, we could get one of those OG emphatic Wonderboy knockouts. Don't know about it though, but I am picking Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to defeat Belal Muhammad in the co-main event. Now let's jump to the main event. If you guys have not yet, smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe and turn those post notifications on. It's Derrick Lewis versus Chris Daukaus, a fight I cannot wait for. Realistically speaking, it's one punch gets it done, potentially for either guy. Earlier in the week, I was on Daukaus, but not super confidently. It's taken me a lot of thinking, watching a lot of these fighters, and there's a fear that I have inside of me that Derrick Lewis lands the big death punch. He has 5 rounds to do so. He carries that power throughout the entire fight. We've seen crazy comebacks from Lewis before. I don't like that Daukaus has been hit, because if you get hit once by Derrick Lewis, your lights go out. I don't see Daukaus having the ability to out-grapple Lewis, especially in the first 2 rounds. Does he survive a 2-round onslaught if Lewis lands just one big punch? I'm really leaning towards no. Let's look at them on the scales. There's Daukaus. He came in at 235. There is Lewis, came in at 265. The naturally much bigger man is Derrick Lewis. The much heavier puncher is Derrick Lewis. Though, technically speaking, Daukaus is a phenomenal striker. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. There's really things to like here about Chris Daukaus. In most fights, we say never pick the guy who just has one way to win, just one punch. That's his only opportunity. But with Derrick Lewis, he does it pretty much every single time. He slept Curtis Blades, who was on the path to potentially, earning a title shot. Derrick Lewis knocks him out in one big punch. He's done it plenty of times. Derrick Lewis is the touch of death. Yes, he lost to Ciryl Gane, but Gane is a different level, and he also much taller and longer than Derrick Lewis. Look at this matchup. Similar height between the two. The reach edge goes with Derrick Lewis. I will pick now, switch it, Derrick Lewis, KO TKO in the second round over Chris Daukaus. At some point, I see Lewis getting the knockout. He is the underdog. Also note, a lot of these recent UFC main events, we've seen underdogs getting the win. Not saying superstition comes into play here, but we do have to note that. I think Derrick Lewis by KO TKO is a valuable prop. Let's check the value of it. Just odds-wise, you're looking at about minus 140 for Chris Daukaus. Lewis at about plus 130 as the dog. For the KO prop, Derrick Lewis, by knockout, upwards of plus 180. I do think he touches the chin at some point and puts Chris Daukaus to sleep. Chris Daukaus is a legit contender at heavyweight. The winner of this fight, it's a fantastic position for them. I mean, for Daukaus, this win gives him huge value moving forward. And even though the fight was awful between Francis Ngannou and Derrick Lewis owns a win over Francis. If he wins this fight and then somehow Francis Ngannou beats Ciryl Gane, we could see Lewis working his way into the title picture for a third time. I'm going Derrick Lewis, win by a knockout. I have to ride with the knockout power here, and I expect him to surprise maybe nobody with the knockout, because I think a lot of people do know Derrick Lewis has the real power. Daukaus the favorite. I think he gets slept here. I like the underdog, Derrick Lewis, for the upset. Unfortunately, this is the final card of the year. Quickly, before I send you guys off, I do want to glance over parlays once again. We did talk about it in depth on this week's Best MMA Bets. You guys could definitely check out that video, which I will link in the description. If I was to parlay something up, quick, easy, you want a parlay that could potentially cash, maybe one that you feel real confident about, I'm really liking this potential play right here between Gamrot and Charles Jourdain as a parlay. If you're not big on Jourdain, that is understandable. Maybe you want to add in somebody that you could feel safer, but still obvious risk, right? It is the fight game. I don't want to bring you some minus 300 favorite. You could potentially do that. I feel like, what if you went Derrick Lewis underdog, Mateusz Gamrot plus 235? Value-wise, that's a great play. Another 2-fighter parlay that I do believe can come through, Sijara Eubanks, plus 140 nearly for Gamrot. Eubanks, there's some good plays to make. Don't go absolutely nuts with the parlay. We really went deep with it on this week's Best MMA Bets, and that's really the best video to go to for parlays. But I'll give you one final one, maybe Leavitt, and then maybe you wanted to play the Black Beast in the main, plus 500, Gamrot, Leavitt, underdog, Black Beast, great. More so Hail Mary style parlay. Overall, fantastic card. I'm sad it is the final one of the year. We'll still have content coming out in the channel. Make sure you tune into that Fight Companion for this card. The late night lives will continue. I'll bring in some reaction videos. We'll talk MMA news. We'll be doing the MMA Experts MMA Awards for 2021. So lots of content still coming. Keep it locked in. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on too. Make sure to smash this like button on this video. Much love, guys. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.